Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Personnel Committee meeting 2 p.m. Monday, the 27th of February. We've got 2 members here with us in the committee rooms, and everybody else is online. In terms of chair's announcements, just an apology. In terms of the agenda, there are some members who are not listed on the bottom of the agenda. Looks like it's the cabinet members, so they're just apologies for that, and we'll put it right for next time. The second item on the agenda is for declarations of interest, if there are any, please. Sheena, do you want to go first?
Yes, thanks, Chair. I'm declaring interest in item 4, and I leave the room for the duration of that item.
Thank you very much. I did see another hand. Yeah. Was it Dennis? Councillor Dennis Keogh, please?
Yes, thank you. Item 6, pay review. I don't know whether I should mention it, but I'm a member of Unite Union.
Great. Thank you very much.
Get the form up to you.
Yeah. Sarah will send the forms to you, Dennis, if that's okay.
Thank you.
And we've got another hand up from Councillor Carol Clement-Williams as well. Please, Carol. Carol, you're on mute if you're speaking. Is your hand still up or not? Please. Okay, we'll move on. Carol, if you do come online and you'll be able to get on, just pop your hand back up and I'll bring you in if that's okay. So Sheena's going to leave. Yeah. We've got agenda item 3 first, which is the minutes of the previous meeting. And they are here on pages 3 to 8 on here, is that right? 3 to 6, sorry, 3 to 6. But can I have, are there any queries on the minutes of the previous meeting? If not, can I have a proposer and a seconder, please? To propose, Chair. Thank you, James.
I'll second, Chair.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Confirm now, Chair, the minutes are approved.
Thank you, Sarah. Okay, so we move on to item 4, the additional annual leave day for employees covered by the JNC on pages 7 to 30. Before we do that, I'll bring Carol Clement-Williams in because she's popped her hand back up. Carol?
Sorry for that, Chair. I'm having terrible connection problems lately. The pay policy, do I have to declare I'm a member of the union?
Yes, I think in line with what Dennis has done, yes.
Okay, Sarah, so I need a form as well then, please.
Yes, okay, we'll get that sent out to you, Carol, thank you. And
okay,
Stephanie,
and I do have a question on this. If Steph is saying she's in the union, but I've got a question on this as well.
Okay, all right, go on, Stephanie. Is it the same declaration?
Yeah, GMB and Unite.
Okay, thank you. And now I'll come back to you, Carol.
Yes, so I'm not against this. And I think it's a really nice thing to do for our staff after all the work we've put in after COVID, etc. Just a couple of points, Chair, really. We've mentioned so many times.
Should we, because I'm going to go to Diane to give us a bit of an update on this item first. Shall we do that and then I'll bring you in?
Okay, it was about the acronyms, Chair. We've said so many times about acronyms in reports, and it's JNC and NJC right through, JNC and whatever it is, right through it. What can we do to make sure that we have a key at the beginning of every paper we have? I mean, for us, it's not so bad, but if lay people are coming into meetings, it's really important, and we keep getting promised it, and it's just not happening. I just wanted to get that, and I've got another question after sorry, I got brain fog this morning after Sheena speak.
Okay, it's not Sheena's Diane, but that's fine. Democratic services to look at doing that going forward and populate a key on the front sheet at least of each report. Thank you, Carol.
Appreciate that, Chair. Thank you very much.
No problem at all. I've got one other hand up, which is Scott's.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. It's only to declare that I'm also a member of Unison.
Okay, thank you very much, Scott. You'll get the forms as well.
Thank you.
Okay, so agenda item 4, I'll hand you to Diane now, who'll give us a bit of a brief on that item. Thanks.
Thanks, Chair. Sorry about that, Councillor Clement-Williams. JNC is the Joint Negotiating Committee and NJC is the National Joint Council. But from me personally, I'll make sure there's no acronyms in any personnel committee report going forward. So you're all aware that the 2022 pay award for the local government services employees gave this group of employees an extra day annual leave. So this report is just extending that extra day annual leave to the other groups of employees in the council. So it's the chief executive, chief officers, Soulbury employees and youth and community workers. Now, the chief executive and chief officers have put in a pay claim for 2023 with an extra day annual leave. So if that is awarded, this day would fall and they won't get 2 extra days, they get the extra day in 2023. For Soulbury and youth and community, if they don't put an extra day annual leave claim in as part of their pay claim, then I'll bring another report to this committee asking for the extra day annual leave to be permanent. So I just wanted to say that was the reason why we put it in this report.
Okay, thank you. Scott, your hand is up. Is it a new hand or is that from the previous comment, please?
No, it's a previous. Sorry, Chair.
Okay, no problem, thank you. So I'll bring in Councillor Karen Clemmer-Williams now. Then, Carol.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry about that earlier. Diana wasn't targeting you. It's just something that I think all officers do, and I can understand why. We know what it means, but just, you know, for clarity for people reading papers that aren't members of council, I just think it's a good best practice that we can start to use more. So thank you for that. It's just, I'm completely for this. I am not against it. It's just a point of accuracy. When it says about the financial impacts, it says that it's only cover. But I know that when we used to look at impact on days off in the past, it should actually be measured financially in the cost of everyone's salary for that day, for accuracy of the record. I'm not against it, I'm completely for it, but to properly reflect, because people have to catch up, to properly reflect it, I would say in the financial part, it would be the cover plus the cost of everyone's pay. Clarity on that I'd like, please. I'm not sure if Hugh or Craig would be better off with that question, but in my mind, I think that should happen.
Okay, thanks, Carol. Diane?
Yeah, well, for the local government services employees, that's part of their pay claim anyway. So, you know, it's part of our terms and conditions now. With respect to these other groups of employees, it is something that the council is doing as a gesture of goodwill. But I wouldn't have the financial information, but I can definitely ask the Director of Finance if that is available, and I can make sure that it's circulated to members of this committee.
Chair, if you could make sure that happens. Thank you, Diana. And if it is that it's now in our terms and conditions, then that's fine, but maybe it should state that in there. But if we could get clarity on it, just to check moving forward whether we're doing it correctly.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fine to do that. We'll question that with him. Thank you. Are there any questions or comments, observations on this item? Not don't see any. So the recommendation is on page 10. It's recommended the members approve the proposal that an additional annual leave day be awarded to employees covered by the JNC for Chief Executive, JNC for Chief Officers, Soulbury Committee and the JNC for Youth and Community Workers. Terms and conditions on a temporary basis with effect from 1st of April 2023 for 1 year only. If I can have a proposer for that, please.
I move, Chair.
Thank you. I've got James to move and Councillor Dennis Keogh to second, if that's okay. We are. Lovely. We'll ask Sheena to come back in. Good. Okay, great. Thank you. And we're on to agenda item 5, which is the Christmas and New Year holiday arrangements 2023-24 and 24-25. Diane, please.
Nothing further really, Chair, to add to the report. I put it for 2 years this year. just for future planning arrangements. Services can make arrangements, and it's, you know, to stop the report coming every year to this committee as well. So,
Carol, is that a new hand or is that hand just gone up now?
Well, it isn't a new hand, it's an old one, but I do have a question.
Okay, thank you. Bring you in there. Thanks.
I was just interested on the staffing costs account for 45.7% of the workforce. This has dropped. I think it was around 49% last year. It's not a criticism, just an observation that it's sad that we're not being given better pay deals for our staff, and I think that they deserve it. So it's not a criticism of us, obviously, but I just wanted to make that point because they worked so hard during COVID. They deserve better. Thank you.
Okay, Carol, can I just check? We are on agenda item 5. I think you may have jumped to 6.
Oh, well, that made my point now for 6. If you could just eliminate that, I won't say it again.
We will. That's absolutely fine. That's absolutely fine. If there is nothing on agenda item 5,
Oh, sorry, Chair.
focus on that. That's okay. That's okay. The recommendation, it is for approval. It's recommended that members approve the proposal in relation to the Christmas and New Year holiday arrangements 23-24 and 24-25. If I can get a proposal, please. Happy to propose, Trevor. Thanks, James. And a seconder.
I second, Chair.
Thank you very much. Tim, I think that was. Yes.
It was, yeah.
Lovely. Thank you very much. So we'll move on to agenda item 6. And I will hand you over to Sheena for this one, please.
Thanks, Chair. So this is the annual pay policy statement for 23-24. The report is before you this afternoon for information. It'll be going before full council on the 15th of March for approval and for publication on the council's website as a requirement of the Localism Act. I haven't got anything further to add to the report, Chair, but happy to take any questions in relation to this.
Okay. Carol, we've heard your comments. If that's okay, we'll take those on board. Are there any other observations, comments, questions?
No, I see no indications, Chair.
Okay, so the recommendation on page 46 is for us to recommend that members note the pay policy statement for 23-24 and for it to be presented to council on the 15th of March 2023. Okay. Then we move on to agenda item 7. Again, hand you on to Sheena for this.
Thanks, Chair. Nothing further to add to what's in the report, but happy to take any questions.
Are there any questions, comments, observations related to this item?
No, I see no indications, Chair.
Okay, thank you. The recommendation on page 101 is that members note the workforce information report. Thank you. Then we've got agenda item 8. Again, pass it over to Sheena for that.
Thanks, Chair. So this we publish the Council's gender pay gap on an annual basis. It's an objective in the Council's strategic equality plan to take actions to reduce our gender pay gap. So we're really pleased to see that our gender pay gap is reducing, and it's well below the UK average gender pay gap of 14%. Our gender pay gap being just over 3%. What I wanted to let members know about is an event that's going to be happening on the 8th of March to celebrate International Women's Day. One of the actions that we've developed to reduce our gender pay gap is a mentoring scheme. We've developed the mentoring scheme aiming at low-paid women within our workforce. The reason for targeting low-paid women in our workforce is because we've made some really good strides in relation to gender equality. If you look at the upper level of our organisation, you'll see that there are more women. We have a female chief executive, we've got a female corporate director. So we are making good, positive strides in the right direction at the top end of the organisation. Unfortunately, our lowest pay grade, grade 1, has been persistently, overwhelmingly female for as many years as I can remember. It's 97% female. And until we affect the gender balance at the bottom of our organisation, we will not get rid of our gender pay gap. So one of the reasons that we've developed our mentoring scheme is to try and encourage career progression, particularly amongst low-paid women. The mentoring scheme will be open to everybody, however. So this is where equalities hopefully make our organisation truly inclusive. So we'll develop actions targeted at one particular part of our workforce, but it won't be exclusively for that part of our workforce. So hopefully it's something that can benefit everybody. We'll be having a launch event online on the 8th of March. So if any members would be interested in attending that event, just email me and I will send you the link to attend that event. Quarry Teg will be attending to provide a short presentation. So Quarry Teg are Wales's leading gender campaigning organisation. They've been working in partnership with us in relation to our Gender Equality Action Plan, and they will be part of that event.
Okay, thank you, Sheena. We have a few notifications, members wishing to speak. First is Councillor Stephanie Grimshaw. Stephanie, please.
Hi, thanks for this report, and I'm glad to see it's coming down. Obviously, we've still got a way to go, so we want it at 0, really. I had 2 questions. The first question was, and I brought it up during the staff report as well. I think that part of the gender pay gap report, we should be considering what kind of intersectionality issues are contributing to mostly women being in the bottom bracket. So I was wondering if some work could be done around that. The second question was, with, you know, we've got a female chief exec, everything like that. Have we kind of looked at any kind of legacy work on what happens when they leave? Are we looking at kind of mostly men that are under that grade? Because I'm worried that we're going to see a massive drop when we get those top roles that, you know, when they decide to move on.
Okay, thank you, Stephanie. Sheena, please.
Okay, thanks. And those are 2 really great questions. So thank you for that. In terms of intersectionality, that's something that we've been talking to Quarry Teg about, because they are broadening their approach in just that direction. So for instance, they've talked to us about actions that we can take which are evidence-based around improving the success rates of women in recruitment processes, but also actually they also benefit people from Black, Asian, minority ethnic backgrounds as well. So there are actions that we can take around that, and Quarry Teg are going to support us with that piece of work. In terms of the second part of the question, we launched a succession planning toolkit last year. We've provided training in succession planning to our management teams, and they are in the process of developing succession plans at the moment. Now that deals with employees in the succession plans up to head of service level. What we do need to look at is a succession plan for the top 2 levels of the organisation. And that is a really important thing that we do, and we do it with an equality lens to it. If we want to make sure that we are competitive in the labour market, actually it's really crucial that we are ensuring that our organisation is as inclusive as possible, because basically you broaden your recruitment market that way, don't you, if you can include everybody in it. So that's certainly something that we would be advocating as part of that succession planning work, that the inclusivity and equality is built into it. So I think that's a really great question, and that's certainly something that we can pass on as part of that work.
I think, is that okay, Stephanie?
Yeah, that's fine. Diolch yn fawr.
Okay, thank you. Next is Councillor Ken Phillips. Ken, please.
Thank you, Chair. It was just really a question around the calculation. I'm assuming it's a standard formula we're using for what's included and what's not included. But of the things that are excluded, are we doing any work to see if there's any gender pay discrepancies lurking in the areas that aren't being examined as part of the overall figure, overtime and casual staff and what have you? Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Ken. Sheena?
Yeah, okay, so yes, so there are exclusions to our gender pay gap. So casuals are not included in the calculation. And you'll also note that it excludes our school-based staff from the calculation. In terms of casuals, what I can say about casuals is that they are paid on the same pay scales as all other members of staff. That doesn't mean that we're not going to have a gender pay gap in relation to them. So what we're carrying out this year is a quality impact assessment of our pay and grading structure. We'll bring information in relation to that to the next personnel committee, but that will ensure that our pay and grading structure itself is equality proofed. So that will look at people that are perhaps excluded from the gender pay gap assessment, and make sure that we haven't got any inbuilt inequalities within the structure. In terms of school-based staff, the reason they are excluded from the gender pay gap report is because every school is responsible for their own pay policy arrangements. So whilst we as a council can make recommendations, we support them in terms of providing advice around pay, it's actually each individual school that is responsible for the pay structure within that school. So what each school should be seeking to do is making sure that their pay arrangements are free from inequalities.
Thank you, Sheena. Is that okay, Ken?
Yes, thank you for that.
Okay, thanks. Next up is Councillor Neath Jenkins. Neath, please.
Thank you, Chair. Not a question, it's just a comment really. It's really reassuring to see. And I think this fits in well as well with the education side, where you've got the Seren scheme, and we held Future Female Leaders event last week. So it's nice to see that Neath Talbot are doing this for pupils and young people as well. So it all fits in nicely. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Neath. Are there any other indications we should speak on this item? The leader, Mr. Stephen.
Great like that, Stephen.
I don't know why you came out there.
No, I think thanks, Sheena, for the work, and it's a difficult one, isn't it? And we're making inroads, and if you look at the average for the UK, you know, it shows where Neath Talbot are, and I'm sure as a council, all of us will strive to close the gap further. And as Stephanie said, it'd be nice to sit here one day and say there's no gender pay gap, because that's certainly what we all want to look to achieve. Now, I've got to be careful what I say here now, not to sound sexist, because it's difficult sometimes. But predominantly, there are job evaluation processes that are male-orientated or female-orientated. You know, you shouldn't be afraid of looking at that as well. Where, I mean, I don't know the figures. I'm sure Sheena could. Our recycling and our bin employees, I would imagine, would be very, very high in the male scope of and there's no reason why the female or any other denomination cannot do that work. Of course they can, but maybe we need to be looking at, as you sort of touched on, Sheena, how we look to allow male or female to take up the particular positions in the authority, whether it's in office staff or leisure or wherever they are. Need to have the confidence, and maybe there's something we could do. I think, as Stephanie sort of touched on things as well, and we can drive something to recruit, a recruitment policy where, you know, it's open and these jobs are attractive for both sexes and gender equality, or we stay in the same position we are, even though the work and the figures here showing excellent progress. As I said, and I'll repeat myself, we need to look at getting a zero gender pay gap. And I'm sure in the future, I'd love this authority, whether I'm leader or whoever else is leader here, to be one of the first local authorities anywhere to do that. And I'd be interested, last point, Chair, I'd be interested to know, I know the UK average, but I'd be interested to know where our sort of other local government authorities in Wales are with their own gender pay gaps. I don't know if you would find that information or for us to have it at this committee. So only a few points from me. I hope nobody's offended with what I said, but I'm saying it in the right way, I hope. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Would you like to come back?
Yes, please, Chair. And thanks, Leader. I think, yeah, there is definitely something about looking at where we've got, for example, male-dominated workforces or female-dominated workforces. So one example is engineering. We've got, it's really hard to recruit to engineers within the council. It's an idea that Diane has had, but why don't we, through our career mentoring programme, encourage internally? So going outside is one thing, and yes, of course, we are doing that. We're linking in with colleges and schools and all sorts to try and encourage them into our hard-to-fill jobs. But actually, we've got lots of people internally who may be interested in career progression. And actually, they may, this is the point that Diane made, that they may not have considered, a career in engineering. So if we're going out to universities and schools and saying, we can provide you with this wonderful training, actually, why aren't we telling people within our own organisation as well? And similarly with home care, so that's an example of a female-dominated workforce, actually helping other people to see that a job in care isn't just for women. It's a great career for women, but actually men can get just as much out of a career in care. So broadening people's horizons in terms of what careers could be for them and not being limited by their gender is really important.
Okay.
Thank you for that. That's really important.
Okay, we've got Councillor Carol Fleming-Williams would like to come in now then, please, Carol.
Well, I got to say, Steve, no, not offended. I think you've made really good and valid points. I completely agree. And Steve asked about if we can have a comparison with other authorities. Would you be able to bring that to us next time, Sheena, please?
Yes, certainly we'll be able to bring a comparison with authorities that have published their gender pay gaps. Now, that should be the majority of councils, but we're obviously not in control of who does publish them. But yes, certainly that's something we can look to do.
Okay, thank you, Sheena. Just to check, Stephanie, you did have your hand up, but it's gone down. Did you want to come in or not?
No, I think I'll bring it up. It's not for this remit, so it doesn't matter.
Okay. Thank you very much. So agenda item 8, the gender pay gap. The recommendation on page 119 is that members note the gender pay gap report. Okay. Back to the agenda, and agenda item 9 is urgent items, of which I have none. Item 10 is access to meetings.
Chair, sorry.
Yes.
Urgent items, Chair. I didn't know where else to ask it, so I thought I'd ask it here. We don't have a forward work programme for this committee. Is there a reason for that?
Gina?
We could certainly develop one.
Yes. We're just talking that we can develop one and include it in the next agenda item and in the next meeting, Carol, if that's okay.
If we can do that, Chair, I'd like to add one.
Okay.
So it's included in the budget about robust management of vacant posts. I'd like to ask if we can put that onto the agenda moving forward. For the next few months at least, to see what kind of impact that's having on our staff and to explain exactly what it is we're doing.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, we can add that in. Lovely. Okay, thank you very much, Carol. So that's urgent items done. Item 10 is access to meetings. The pursuant to section 100A, 4 and 5 of the Local Government Act 1972, the public excluded for the following items of business, which involve the likely disclosure of exempt information as defined in paragraph 12 and 15 of part 4 of schedule 12A of the above act. Can we just check that there are no members of the public?
No, Chair, there's no
Thank you. And we move on to agenda item 11, which is the national.
Chair, I'm just going to stop the recording.
I'll stop the recording as well, yes, of course.